fluff about. Should be. Oh, here we go. Yeah, I can remember it. No. Can we say, are you kind of what did he say?
No, I did last year. So I did pretty much all of last year, doing all but saying that Sweden really worked out. How much did you start into that one? Yeah, sure. Off Tuesday. Some help there. Don't want to get the wire all
That's it.
You're on the last mile.
That's why I wanted to do as well. I know you're arguing out, that's okay. But I just wanted to say hello, just in case I can catch you later. Just so that we kind of listen in physically rather than just on screen as well.
Thank you. So, just a reminder, please do scan that QR code. Feedback forms are really important so we can continue to iterate on this conference. But also, if you need an extra incentive, it is that a charity donation will go to UK Prostate Cancer Charity for every form that is received. So please do it. It only ever takes minutes, and you all know how invaluable it is to get it. We are going to be joined by legendary forum manager Harry Redknapp shortly, but we have one final panel and I think it's going to be really insightful and practical. And Richard has the task of interviewing 4 people in 25 minutes so that we are in the state of readiness for Harry Redknapp. So give it up for Richard Ford, CTO Integrity 360. Off you come, Richard. And as you hear your name, to start making your way up, we have Stuart Driver, Information Security Manager of Parish Metro. We've Alan Kane, Chief Information Security Officer, Mail Delivery Group. We've Amir Akarter, Channel Director, EMEA, or can you make your way across? And we have Sam Lambert, Senior Microsoft and Cloud Security Architect at Integrity 360. Please give them a lovely round of applause. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Anya, and we are into the last segment. We're standing in the way of you and Harry Redknapp and some drinks afterwards. Great to see there was some coffee and cake down here to keep the energy levels up. So in our final panel, it's probably a great way to finish on a panel discussion. There's been a lot of talks, but it's nice to have some interactive and potentially challenging. So it's very clear when we had our pre-chats and the lead-up to this. It's about how we challenge each other as well on the back of any of the conversations. So optimize, consolidate, communicate, doing more with less is what we're focused on. Gartner included cybersecurity technology optimization as one of their key pillars of their trends, cybersecurity trends and predictions for 2025. And that's what we're kind of focusing on. So the process of reducing complexity, reducing overhead from a technical perspective that hopefully fills into the rest of the organization with talked about people and process and technology quite a lot. It's all interlinked. And that's in the face of ever-expanding choice of technologies. There is over 3,000 different vendors all providing security technologies, all vying for attention, all advertise their latest and greatest, that they're looking to implement inside your environment. And then also contrasting that with existing tools and vendors expanding their capability, and then we start getting overlap between them. So it's how do we handle this? Additionally, we have the concept of minimum viable toolset, which is like reducing the focus on technology into new technology, paring back to what we actually need to achieve our security objectives, and getting value out of that existing investment that we've made. And this is both in a world where security budgets, as we're told, are growing, but not growing as fast, particularly when we start to look at real world and factoring in inflation that we've seen recently. The security budgets aren't growing at the same rate. So we're going to dive in with a panel and get insights and views on the real world, so approach that consolidation, resilience, particularly talking about eggs in the basket, and then how that overlap challenge is covered. So I'm going to introduce the team, so I won't go through that, but normally I'd allow them to introduce themselves. I'm going to get them to do that, but through answering a question, easy question up front, which gets us to understand, kind of engineer to understand their security environment. So the first question, if we go from left to right, just to ease into it, we're talking about technologies, so if I can ask you as a way of introduction, what is your favourite must-have security tool that you believe you should, or all of us couldn't do without? So, with yourself.
Seeking tools, one window on everything that you've got. There's dozens of different tools out there. You need to be looking into lots of different consoles and thinking, that speeds up responses and everything else like that as well, doesn't it? So yeah, that's probably one key tool. Antivirus, obviously those things come as well, but being able to see everything in one place. Wonderful.
Yeah, single panel, single screen, all the data in one place. And Alan, same question.
Yeah, so very similar. So an intelligence tool that does exactly that. So we use a tool such as Risk Exchange and Dark Invader to do that type of intelligence, but brings it all, not just the dark web stuff, but more external visibility of what's out there, and also things like data leaks. It's all in one tool. Makes it a lot easier for us to manage.
Yeah, and John, in the very first session, talked about that, understanding the threats that you're facing, joining it together with the risks, so very important. Anna, predictably, what is yours?
Being slightly biased, of course, focusing around cloud security, but if I was to drill in a little bit further into that, I would focus more around that attack part of analysis, being more preventative as opposed to being a reactive based approach. And that's an absolute key area that people are adopting, and obviously going to continue to look into and do this as well.
And then lastly, Sam.
For me, it would have to be XDR, kind of like cheating because you're killing multiple birds with one stone, but we see that operates across multiple security layers from endpoint, device, server, network, etc. So yeah, I'd have to say that that's XDR. Yeah,
indeed, John, we're going to come on to a bit of consolidation. I think that is a key driver of the market. As I think I mentioned earlier, putting things all under the many acronyms that we have and enjoy in cybersecurity. So just starting, first thing I guess we can touch upon is that in line with the minimum viable tool, there is a tendency for us technical people to look at the shiny things. The shiny things being new tools to address problems, or even potentially they're not new tools; they're just being put together in a way that's being marketed as something that we need, but also to address the new problems that we have in the environment. So, Al, I'll probably come to you first on this. Do you see that there's a tendency in security teams to start looking at those and actually getting distracted by the tools that is the latest and greatest?
Yeah, so we've all heard about AI, obviously everyone knows about that. And these tools have got AI embedded, this it's shiny, it's great.
Yeah.
It'll happen, as soon as you go to InfoSec, it'll be like, oh look, these shiny tools, great. But actually, what are they actually doing for you? Is there a tangible something you can report Does it give you a metric? Does it give you know, and they're the kind of things you want to report back. So not only the tool good for the technical person, but also actually how is it easy for us to translate onto the board or into reports and that kind of stuff.
Yeah, you've got to identify what the benefit is, haven't you? So for our cases, 500 information coming in. If AI can reduce the time, filter all that information down and present it to my analysts with all the data that would normally take him 25 minutes to pull together, it's worth it, isn't it? I've just saved 25 minutes on the incident. That's what I'm selling to the board.
I would say to all my teams, least administrative effort.
Yeah.
If you can do something for the least amount of effort, what a great job you're doing.
Oh, I used to be a developer, I'm bored lazy.
Well, John, it was pointed out to me after my session, I was talking about desire paths, that actually in the very next session, most people would walk straight up and ignore the stairs. So all of us are, efficient is what I call it. It's not lazy, it's efficiency. So kind of minimum effort, administrative effort, tied to that kind of minimum viable tool set. I suppose I'll come to you, Sam. Is that something that you see organisations striving for? And if not, why? Do we see it continually growing, or is there a pattern where organisations are looking to strip it down to what they actually need?
Yeah, I think in some circumstances they're looking to reduce costs because of budget concerns. You sometimes do need to look for the MVP or minimum viable product, or MVT as you call it. So in ways to do that, you can start looking at risk assessments to see what threat you're actually trying to mitigate against what you're actually trying to do with that tool. As well, you can also use frameworks like the behavioral control for maturity model, just to help gauge you with how much that effectiveness of that control is, and then perhaps you can make a more informed decision of is it meet your MVT criteria or not.
Very good. And then I guess pivoting around that, I'll come to you, Stuart, actually. How much of that kind of decision is based around, I guess what is driving that decision, and how much is based around sort of risk and alignment to security priorities? And is that something that the team needs to be pulled back on often?
Yeah, well, we make shiny toys, we're going to keep an eye on what's new and what's coming out. And I'd like all of the guys and girls of the team to sort of propose, Steve, I think this really fantastic thing, can we have a look at it? And we'll absolutely go and have a look at it. But at the end of it, I need to boil it down to a proposal which says, costs this much, and it fixes this risk problem that we got, because it's all about managing risk. And when you're talking to the rest of the business, they're going to understand what you're talking about when you say risk. Right? So, couch it in their terms, this is what the benefit is to the company. If it's shiny but not quite there yet, we keep an eye on it. There's some things that are quite mature. Always, pretty much everywhere, but not all of it's 100% useful yet. I think it will be.
Yeah, I think no. And actually, Alan, as we talked previously, it's very important. James talked about it in terms of turning the board into advocates for cyber security. How do you approach that tool set selection? I know that you have quite an in-depth view of it, but how do you get that buy-in?
So making sure they understand what the good looks like, and then taking back and saying this is where we are now, and then say through this journey it's a continual improvement journey. So we're going to look at these tools, we're going to look at putting in this methodology, and we'll report back to you constantly. And once they get that kind of buy-in and understand that this is not these technological things they can't understand, and it's all shiny, we can report to them, and actually they can understand what we're doing. It makes a massive difference because then they become your advocates.
Yeah.
And I've got members of my board to actually stand up and talk about my tools. We use
Excellent.
So it makes a difference because they understand it.
I do a bit of a show and tell. Once I've actually persuaded our chief financial officer, I want this nice shiny thing. And I shall say this is what it will do for us. Later on, I'll give them a bit of a show and tell. So it did this for us. This is the improvement we've made. This is how good it is. I get quite pleased when you've got the measurements you can show them. Because then it doesn't feel so much like a load of money going in a bucket they don't know about. They can actually see the result.
I'd say CFO is the wanted friend out of all those.
Oh, absolutely.
The signing off project to allow you to get what you're looking for or what you're after. And I'll just come to you. I mean, we're talking about technology and new technology. Cloud is obviously a new area of complexity. How are you approaching, particularly with customers, looking at, well, we've got spend, but how do we make that work across the cloud? There's a new area that we're having to secure overall.
Well, I think first and foremost, to hit on the subject matter that she will be brought up, I think tool consolidation and cost saving are definitely things that we are seeing, and we should be aware of it. Right? You know, we are going through macroeconomic times. People do want to understand if I'm going to spend something, especially when it's coming from board level. How does this impact us as a business? Does it drive a business outcome, which these two good gentlemen have been talking about today, and we need to be able to articulate that. But more importantly, around getting it to be agile and how can we control it from that aspect as well as can we buy things that are embedded into our ecosystem that has a wide integration. Because I think a lot of people are starting to walk away from those silo-based approaches. Better integrations, can we do with more with less? And I think a real key point which is now coming up more and more is around team efficiency. Whatever we invest in, does it make us more efficient? And I think this was just going back to your point around doing less, effectively. If we can hit those milestones as a business and drive those business outcomes, I think that's definitely a good approach, and they're the technologies you should be looking into.
And actually, just coming back to that efficiency, it's important that we get the very best out of the tool set that we have in place. I'll come to yourself, Alan, very briefly, as you kind of brought up that sort of administrative effort. But how do you and the team assess that value that you're getting out of the tool? And I guess also that life cycle of that tool.
Yeah, so it's always that you're on that journey, right? You're never going to go, there's a tool, it's the panacea, it's done everything, right? So we all know that doesn't exist. It was originally seen and something else, So making sure you understand the tools that you get in is massive. We're doing a massive CNAP POV at the moment. We've got multiple vendors, including Walker. I'm not telling you what my wife after this. Being able to consolidate tools, like such as the code check and the CI/CD pipeline, put it into these tools, and then going, okay, because you got it's looking at just data, bad coding and stuff. And actually, it's bad. But what's it doing? Well, these tools will actually show you where it's running, and then you can actually relate. Well, why's that bad? Okay, and then being able to look at so we get a CVE that's at 9.8 into the world, patch everything. But when these tools look at the environment, and it looks at the actual attack vector and goes, actually, well, it's got no external access, it's got very little user access, so actually the funding is lower. Yeah. And all of a sudden, what that does, that starts to lower all those tickets you're going to get in, all the effort you're going to put in to something that doesn't exist. Yeah. And if there's a change, right, it then rescans, all these tools rescan, and then go, actually, that risk has gone up again. Now we've got it. Administrative again, it saves so much time.
I think there is certainly an element of, we've all heard of the concept of shift left and getting security better into the DevOps thing, but I think that's something absolutely that's become more and more prevalent as we become 26, 27 and beyond, and looking at tools that can be sufficient in that area.
And also, those tools give the score, right? They give you a tangible number.
Yeah, a realistic number in your environment. Are you talking about things like CCAP, for example? Yeah, well, I'm just about moving from traditional antivirus scanning, which is fine, it's just leave your number, but it's not aware of the fact that that server is affected. You have to do all these other things in the kill chain before you can get to it. So the same thing, scanning constantly, and it builds up a reasonably realistic picture of all the hoops the bad guy has to do to get there and to avoid that. So at the end of it, they're like, still trying. The software looks good. It's going to sort of say, that looks really bad if you look at the CVE score, but actually, the chance of anyone actually being able to exploit that is pretty low. Worry about this one first, because if they do get the same target, they're going to go for that one, because it's easy to reach. They're all about speed, aren't they? So, the kill chain, these tools are theoretically understand the kill chain, and the automation of that is fantastic, because in a big complex environment, it's really hard to work that out yourself.
Yeah, we have a huge estate. Probably give you in this will understand what we do, but we do everything other than drive the trains and the signal. If you ever bought a ticket, we have all your data, all the rail cards, all the train, it's all our data. So you imagine in that nation state trying to get hold of our joint internal environments.
Oh, yeah.
And as we change into something like Great British Rail, a whole new environment needs to be built, and security from the ground up needs to be authorated. So you're not linking old systems, these are all new systems with new technologies, and locked down correctly as they should do.
Yeah. So it's probably true to say, as we said, the investment in tools now needs to be in intelligent tools that are going to actually do a lot of the legwork to allow you to get an instant view. Yes. That's the only way you're going to be able to keep a relatively lean team or an army of experts that talk about simply not there.
Personally joined up with improvements, and even small improvements to that quite honestly. To be honest, I say 25 minutes of potential instant response. Okay, I'm dreaming a bit really, it's been honest, I'm not going to say 25 minutes. But even 5 minutes, 10 minutes of improvement is a few results. For us about somewhere, 10 minutes is a huge difference.
Yeah, and similar to the sort of the changes to potentially going to rail. Stuart, I know that between Barrett and Reveille, that's merging of teams.
Yeah.
So that's a process you've had to go through in terms of tool selection and trying to work that out.
Yeah, it was an interesting one as well because even though we're in the same vertical, we're still building houses, we're just building fancy houses. Where we've chosen every one of these standard tools, they've always seemed to, with one exception, they've chosen a different one from us. So it's actually a great opportunity because it does really let me go, well, you know what, I can look at both theirs and ours and compare and say which one is the best one going forward. And in some cases, well, you know what, I like yours better, good, keep yours. And, we're changing the contracts around. In a lot of cases, we've had a better investment, I suppose, in InfoSec than they had. But they've made some really sensible decisions as well. So there's a lot of learning going on, that's brilliant. Big challenge, of course, is with training up both sides of the team because InfoSec was the first team from Redrow to be fully merged with Barrett's. So they're on my team now, but they don't know any of my tools. And I want to put it on things like hours, call rota. If they get called out from my lot, they're not going to know how to do anything. And if I'm on rota, I'm not going to know how to do anything in their environment. So I'm doing a heck of a lot of training and things like that, so we skilled up. We've got a silly time on as well. I've only got to do it by the end of the 21st of March.
Yeah. Well, we've only got 5 minutes left on this, so you have to get back to it. I'll sit around and enjoy Harry Redknapp very shortly. So sometimes it's like talking about consolidation and convergence. Sam, probably a big area that we've seen a lot of that, and customers going on that journey is around the Microsoft estate, which as a Microsoft architect is probably the best person to talk us through that. I guess really, where are organisations taking that up to? Which bits are they avoiding? And what's that journey look like for a lot of organisations?
Yeah, sure. I mean, it almost seems paradoxical that more security tools will lead to worse security outcomes, but in fact, that's actually what can end up happening with fragmented solutions. And the reason being is you get silos, you get protection gaps, which creates these blind spots. Now, with the likes of Microsoft, if you embrace not just Microsoft, but if you embrace a single vendor ecosystem, then especially from an XDR perspective, they're going to be in a better position to be able to correlate those signals between across products. So that's where we see from the Microsoft standpoint, a lot of clients are benefiting from embracing that Microsoft ecosystem, so that because they can essentially join the dots between the products. There's a risk signal building over here, and that tallies to this side of the attack story. So in other words, someone clicks an email, Defender 365 picks it up, catches a link, and they download a piece of malware, that's Defender for endpoint, all of a sudden is intercepted in, join the dots in between that attack story, they easily replay it. So from a security operations standpoint, it's a lot easier and more efficient to diagnose.
Yeah, and I completely agree. And not to reopen the very first panel we had, which was around XDR ready for proactive defense with XDR tools, but I can't see any other way of having moving forward with security without having integration. And I know Gartner will have the concept of cybersecurity mesh, where all the vendors all play very nicely together and build one joined up end-to-end architecture. Don't really see that fully developing and happening. I think they've been touting that for about 3 or 4 years now, and it hasn't really developed. But actually, it's going to be around more and more being single vendor solutions. And I suppose that's really where Orca has stepped in terms of the cloud. A lot of clouds around CSPM, but everything now is being, again, another acronym, tied into the CNAP platform. So maybe I want to sort of talk us through kind of all the elements of that ties together.
Yeah, sure. I mean, obviously, CNAP, another great acronym from Gartner, just to confuse us all there. The evolution of CNAP is quite simple, essentially. It's a framework. It's a lot of sub-modules that make up that CNAP category, whether that's CSPM, which is application management, Kubernetes, your workload protection, Key, API, AI, SPM now. I mean, the list is getting bigger and bigger. But essentially, it's how you use that framework to support you as a business, but more importantly, not selling shiny tools, it's driving business outcomes. And that's what we should all be doing, is we have these tools, a lot of vendors can support that CNAP framework, obviously Orca included, but what does it drive? What are we trying to achieve within our business, whether it's at the board level or at the DevOps side from shift left? And does it achieve that? If you can take tools and measure against those business outcomes, and I would honestly say you need to have 3 decent business outcomes on any technology, then it's something that's worth looking into and investing. Otherwise, you're just getting more and more technologies that will confuse a lot of people.
Yeah.
And I'd like to come back to Stuart's point around team efficiency. I think we were touching on skills gap. Certainly, you were training a lot of team members. We don't have the luxury of teams growing, and I think that comes coinciding with tool consolidation and costs, budgets going down. We need technologies that create more efficiencies in our team, but don't burden them with weeks away with training and master's degrees that are needed to implement these tools. We need things that integrate very quickly in terms of deployment, integrate with the wider solution stack that we've got seamlessly and bi-directionally as well, and that the teams can use, and it's simple at the end of the day.
Well, Joe, we've got 35 seconds on the clock, so I haven't got time for another question. I think you wrapped it up perfectly. You've already done my summary there. I think it is focusing. Really now we look at our tool sets. It's focusing on what's going to give us the most value, what's going to drive that sort of minimum administrative effort as you talk about. Alan. I'm going to ask one last question in the 10 seconds I've got, which was just, I mentioned at the very start, profit that security budgets are not going to rise as fast. Just very quickly for our 2 client guests, is that something you're struggling with? Is that something you notice when looking for investment? Is it getting harder to justify and get the cash that you need for that?
Yes, I would say it is because as you probably tell me, that frame might be looking around the block a bit. And I've been first boots on the ground for security for a number of organisations, and obviously there's a lot of enthusiasm when you get started with a plan, you sell it to the board, they're all keen on it, things like that. And you can measure, you can show, you make improvements, and all happy with that. And then at some point down the line, they reach this point where they go, do you really need to go much higher? I don't know if we sort of top off about here. I don't really want to keep spending this much money. And they kind of reach to the point where they plateau. And after that, it's so much harder to get over the line to get a tool in, get funding for that you can't really demonstrate a really specific need because they're now a bit more resistant to spending money just for effect. So it's important to get your plan with all the things you're really, really going to need in early. And then if new stuff comes out and can really show a benefit, you've probably got a chance of getting it. But it's become harder over the years. It's now, especially with the amount of money with the merger going on, it's a huge amount of money now. But it does mean there's a lot of money coming towards us.
So I'm definitely over splashing there. I can tell that I was there. So I'm going to say thank you very much to my guests, and we will make way for our keynote speaker. Thank you.